Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among many other things. Now, we're looking here today at my neighbor Alice, which is Alice. It's not technically my neighbor Alice, but it is a pretty cool game that I've heard of and haven't checked out myself, honestly, but there's some pretty cool fundamentals. Check that out in your own time. This is a technical analysis only, and I'm doing this for my community members that ask that I cover this because I have a lot of members, specifically my patrons, that are actually invested in Alice. And they've made a lot of money off this one too from some signals I sent out previously. Now, moving forward, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should do your own research and just take ownership of your own trades. And what I mean by that is just learn as much as you can from as many people as possible. Don't listen to those idiots out there that tell you you're going to 10, 20, 30x your coins. Listen to the smart ones that are a little bit more educated and understand what it's like to be a trader and have more experience. They didn't just start this year. Okay. Regardless, that has nothing to do with this here. I just want what's best for you, and what's best for me is what's best for you, and I just feel better knowing at the end of the day that I've made a positive impact. So feel free to check out my Telegram community if you'd like to kind of get more insight on cryptocurrency. We have a really good group of folks there. More importantly, check out my Patreon account if you'd like to kind of be included in all the trades that I make. I have about an 80% success rate overall with my trades, and I share all of my trades with my community members. Send out between 3 to 5 signals per week: day trades, swing trades, and hodl trades. Those are kind of newer, exclusive things, but it's really adding a lot of benefits. So check that out in your own time. Recommend registering on the first. Now, without further ado, I do tend to ramble. Apologize for that. Let's just go ahead and get right into the charts. Let's check it out. All right, folks, let's go ahead and take a look here at Alice. And just before we do, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a baseline on the market so we know exactly what's going on. Now, first things first, when it comes to looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum, I always like to preface in the fact that it's really important you do so because how Bitcoin performs makes a big difference, big impact on how a lot of altcoins perform, as well as Ethereum too, because a lot of things are on the ERC20 blockchain. So we just need to kind of be aware of that and understand what those look like. That's the reason for that. So just so you know, it's not a waste of time to do this. It is definitely important. Now, taking a look here, just before we zoom in a little further, I use TradingView.com desktop application. Highly recommend you check that out yourself as well. Link in the description below for a free month so you can kind of get the feel for it and see if you like it or not, because it allows you to have more than 2 indicators present at any given time. And I commonly use 2 to 4 per time frame, to total, I would say, somewhere in the range of about 10 indicators present, between start to finish. So just so you know there, that's kind of what's going on. Reference that in your own time. But just to clarify here, we see this ascending pattern, right? We see this ascending channel, basically just showing us that Bitcoin is holding true to this continuation, and there's a likelihood of it continuing on further because, as we can see here, the price tried to come down, but it technically bounced off of the 50-day simple moving average. So when you're looking at this, you can kind of tell pretty obvious that the price bounced off of here, as well as this ascending continuation of this channel. And there's a strong likelihood that we're going to see Bitcoin break 50,000 here in the near future. That's just my anticipation, my guess here. We're back up above 48,000, and of course, we have some pretty strong support levels holding the price up. So not too worried that we're going to see the price travel between 49 and 50,000 to eventually break upside, right? Break to the upside of around 50. And then at that point, we're going to see a lot of altcoins take off, including, Alice. This one very well could take off as well. So that being said, that's kind of what we're looking at here, of course. Now, moving on to Ethereum. Very similar scenario, just different support and resistance levels. We've got a major resistance at 3250, but also bear in mind the price is just above the 50-day simple moving average here as well. So it's got this small little channel it's working its way into. Furthermore, the 200's traveling behind, but we won't see that become a relevant factor here in the near future. But I would say the next week or two that may get tested depending on if Bitcoin doesn't break 50,000, then we'll see that as kind of a secondary support level. Also note 2900 is a very strong support, so Ethereum is all in all in pretty good shape. If you have a long position, just have a stop loss right underneath 2900. You'll probably be just fine. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Alice here. We always look at the one-day chart first and work our way down. There is an ascending triangle pattern here that we had a recent breakout from, so keep that in mind. The previous one-day chart, essentially, we had a most recent high of about $18.20 that stopped out twice and retraced, and now it came up, tried it twice, and on the fifth and final day, basically 3 attempts in 5 days, the 5th attempt blew through that support, or correction, blew through that resistance, and now became a support. And what likely happened, and you can see the price jump up like that, there was likely a short squeeze, because a lot of times shorts will have their support, their stop loss just above this, this strong resistance level. So in case, in case it stops out, then, they'll close their position. But you usually see this happen and an increase in volume when, there's a short squeeze that occurs. Okay, so keep in mind that's probably what happened, but regardless, the price is above that now, so it's likely going to be a support. We have 1 hour left in this trading cycle, so it's a strong likelihood that this candlestick will close above in the next hour. So keep that in mind. Support and resistance levels are not support and resistance until the 1-day chart closes either above or below. Keep that in the forefront of your mind. So people are like, oh, well, the 1 hour we're good or the 4 hour we're good. No, it's mostly the 1-day chart that the industry leaders, those who control the market, are actually utilizing and looking at, right? So just keep that in mind. It's something that you've been warned. Let's go ahead and take a look here. We got a convergence on the MACD, roughly, 4 days ago on the 21st. Obviously, we can see that there. We really don't need to mark that, of course, because that's pretty, just kind of out in the open there. But generally speaking, when you have a convergence on the MACD on the 1-day chart, that's a strong indication of going long. So had you went long when we had that convergence occurring, you would have, probably netted yourself somewhere in the range of 65%. That's very good. That's a very good return. So just something to pay attention to. I prefer the 4-hour chart for the MACD convergence, so we'll take a look here and I'll show you why. But generally speaking, they both kind of work similarly, the 4-hour and the 1-day chart, as far as the MACD, the general concept of how it works and how it's best designed for a long position. And I don't mean long as in, going up, as far as a bullish trend. I'm referring to long as in how long you're going to hold it. In other words, for something you're going to swing trade, rather, that would be a case in point where the MACD on the 4-hour and the 1-day chart are more relevant. Okay, so I really just put a lot of weight into those when I see that, and then I get a continuation on the 1-hour chart for the Ishimoku cloud. It's like a golden, it's like what some refer to as a golden cross. I'd say it's my golden cross. I'll explain that in a minute, but taking a look here, first of all, 4-hour chart, price obviously above the previous resistance at support now, and we can see we broke that wedge pattern. Price is above both moving averages as well, so that's fantastic. The 50 will continue to work as a support level. It may get tested in the next, I don't know, 2-3 trading days. We shouldn't see it tested right away unless we see a significant retracement. I don't foresee Alice retracing anytime soon, just based on it's just how well it does and how we can see it on the actual MACD convergence, right? First of all, that's a big thing, but furthermore, Alice has done very well in the past, and when it breaks support and resistance levels, it has a tendency of just continuing on. And just a quickly note here too, I want to see here. Yeah, we're actually above its all-time high because you really can't take into consideration its ICO date. I'm fairly confident that is the ICO date. If not, I apologize. But based on this chart here for Binance, essentially, it was introduced to Binance on the 15th of March. And obviously, you can tell when it's an ICO date based on the simple fact that the price has extreme. I mean, look at this. It opened at 2 cents and it went upwards, what, 2,100%, 2,188% in one trading day, right? So obviously we don't want to factor that in. That's really irrelevant at this point. But what is relevant is the simple fact that we have the most, I mean, you could say 2 days in a row it closed, even though I don't put a lot of weight into that based on it being, the first day that it was on the market. First 48 hours, I think, are pretty much not valid. If you were to include that data, just say, for example, we're currently above that. So if this 1-day chart can close above, we're going to be in good shape. The other thing to note too is that can be pretty much considered a support level. So if we look here, there's a likelihood of the price, if it does retrace any further, it'll stop out at about $20.50. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Again, the first couple of days of trading, I recommend not really using that as significant data, but for support and resistance levels, it can be effective since there's limited data in general here. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the 1-hour chart. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the cloud and kind of see if there's a correlation. And yeah, we can see that here. So take a look here. I marked this on the 4-hour chart basically when we had a convergence right here. And now it was previously, of course, the last time I reviewed this, but this is a good example regardless. In other words, when the price breaks above the cloud, you can kind of see within about 8 hours after it broke above the cloud. When it stays, or when it breaks above the cloud, essentially, and it obviously stays above the cloud, then it's considered to be a buy signal. So this would have been an awesome consideration to take entry somewhere in this range here. So had you done that, you're right here and the price is upwards. Oh, sorry, it's even higher. Yeah, so price is right here. That would have been about a 67% increase in roughly 5 trading days. Okay, so that's when a MACD converged right here, basically told us in the 4-hour chart that, hey, The bulls are taking control, the bears have conceded, and essentially it's a bull market for the most part at this point in time. That's when you take entry, but you get further confirmation by looking at the 1 hour chart at the Ishimoku cloud and confirming if it's above. When it's above, it's a buy signal. So you got basically two strong indications of a buy signal, and that's a consideration to take entry and obviously hold on. In other words, the reason why that's helpful too, of course, is its history. You don't want to just jump right in when when it's at maxed out, so to speak. But when we got the MACD convergence of our chart, it's almost always a guarantee to have some type of increase. You'll rarely get a MACD convergence and then it just turns right around. It doesn't happen too often. It can happen if Bitcoin performs poorly. But that's why we look at Bitcoin first, right? We take a quick look at it, understand where it's at. If it's above support levels, which it is right now, we're looking to be in really good shape, right? So it's above the 50-day simple moving average. It's above 49,000 right now, or just say, held at support at 48. Therefore, we're in really good shape right now to see this probably continue on for Alice. Now, this is all-time high territory from what I can tell based on this chart. And therefore, anything above this line is uncharted territory. So what we should expect to happen is the price to kind of continue out along this line and then likely go on another run. Now, there's probably some fundamentals that are involved here as well, because Alice has a tendency of going on these hikes, these price hikes. I even noticed the same thing with with this one here as well, CHR. This is another one that's on the same blockchain, and I'm actually paying close attention to this too as well. So pro tip, maybe check this out in your own time. But there's a good chance that this will continue and break an ascending triangle pattern here with that wedge pattern forming. Anyways, regardless, you want to pay attention to those things. That's why looking at Bitcoin or Ethereum or just specific blockchains that pertain to NFTs is really important, and this is one of them here. So just pay attention to that. But Alice, all in all, has some really good fundamentals. Check that out in your own time. And let's go ahead and move on to the 15-minute chart. Now, what we look at the 15-minute chart, I'm pretty much I'm a 2 indicator per time frame kind of guy, right? Oh, in fact, why don't we look at this here first? I apologize. I meant to look at that. It's probably irrelevant in a sense, but it's important to look at that as well, because I usually always look at the TD sequential on the 1 hour chart. And the reason why I look at it there is just because it kind of gives us an idea of when there's exhaustion. In other words, if you see here, these numbers are counting up. So this very first number one here basically tells us that the price turned around, obviously. And this is counting from 1 to a 9. So when you get to a 9 here and you see this 9 right here, basically just means the price is going to likely come back down or retrace. Okay, because in other words, we've had 9 hours of bullish momentum and it's reaching a state of exhaustion. The price should come back down. That's what you look for here. And when you see that, you expect the price to kind of retrace and come back down. It's kind of doing a consolidation thing right now, but it is still effectively retracing. Okay, so I just want to point that out that of the 2 indicators that I use per time frame, the 1 day and the 4 hour chart is basically the 50 and the 200-day simple moving average, because those are what industry leaders are using. I also take a quick look at the the MACD convergence in the 4 hour chart, and then I transition over to the 1 hour and take a look at the TD sequential and the Ishimoku cloud, make sure the price is above the cloud, and of course take a look and see if we've reached a state of exhaustion, so we can pay attention to how the support levels are going to hold the price in place. The last thing we look at is the 15-minute chart, just to quickly identify EMA and VWAP. Now the price at this point is under EMA. Okay, so when we got a state of consolidation or retracement, the price is going to drop below. Therefore, it's not a good consideration for a buy signal right now. The price is over VWAP, but that makes sense because the price has shot up so far that it basically had a strong, high standard deviation, probably in the double digits there, right around 16%. Therefore, that kind of causes the price to essentially want to come back down. That natural law of, cryptocurrency gravity, or just trading gravity in that sense. What goes up must come down, within reason, of course. Obviously, there's a lot of determining factors, but I'm summarizing and paraphrasing here. But the VWAP is very helpful for basically, telling us the volume weighted average price. It just takes the volume in the last 24 hours, expresses it as a price, has standard deviation lines that kind of are above and below. When the price goes outside those lines, it's going to come back down and retrace. So we've got a lot of reasons why the price is coming back down, but the great thing here is we have a strong support, of course, with the previous all-time high of $20.50, as well as $18 and what was that? Just say 18.10, approximately 18.10 as the most recent support. So if we lose this support at $20.50, I recommend moving your stop loss up to somewhere in the range of about $17, $18. So if we do lose that secondary support, you take profit and you still remain profitable. Okay. So don't get greedy. Take profits while you still can. There's nothing better then walking away at the end of the day, having taken profit, I don't care if it's a 0.5%, it's a lot better than leaving money on the table and actually losing money, right? Because I can't tell you how many times I've done that in the past. Now, again, I haven't done this in a while based on my tenure. I've been doing this for about 15 years now, and I can tell you that it happens a lot less frequent. I'm about an 80% trader because I know when to cut my losses and I know when to hold my gains. And I think you got to learn to take your profits. A lot of people are kind of they're very amateur about that, just based on lack of knowledge or understanding and how it works, and they want to get that that big conversion, right? So you hear about 10x, 20x, 30x coins out there. While that can still happen, yes, that's flawing your perception, and you need to be more careful and take profits while you still can, because all those idiots out there that keep telling you that you're going to make millions of dollars, while that could be true, it's very unlikely if you have poor risk tolerance and you leave money on the table. So if you're profitable right now, take your profits while you still can. Let the price come down to the support level. See if it tests and holds. If it loses support, awesome. You have a better opportunity to be able to buy in at a lower price. Let it come down to the next support level. Set your stop limits. Set a buy target there to essentially be able to get in at a lower price point, and then see how it treats that support level, right? Just have a good risk tolerance, because honestly, it's just really unfortunate to see people lose a lot of money because they held on for too long. As we can see, Alice is overextended. It's in all-time high territory right now. So in that sense, I would say that it's best to take profits while you still can, honor the support and resistance levels here, and ensure you put a stop loss if you are profitable. Even if you're not profitable, put that in there anyways, just so you can ensure you lose less if you made the mistake of getting in too high. So protect your investment. That's all there is to it. Do not gamble. This is not gambling. If you want to gamble, go to the casino and put money down where the house always wins. You can become the house if you use good tactics and practice like I do here. So if you like what you see here so far, I do this every single day in my trading. I share this with my community members in my Patreon account, so feel free to check that out in your own time. Highly recommend you check that out, of course, because a lot of my traders right now are becoming very profitable because they are actually being careful and being smart about their investments, right? And not just jumping in. We got to learn to kind of steel ourselves and be better traders. Either way, I apologize. I go on rants and raves. I'm sorry. I want to look out for the best interest of all my members. I appreciate you making this far and hopefully listening in to this point. But I guess the summarization here for Alice, my prediction is that the price will come down. It'll bounce off the support level here at about $20.50. Likely continue sideways and then increase thereafter. Again, this is all relevant to how Bitcoin performs. If Bitcoin stays between 49 and 50,000, we might see some sideways action. If Bitcoin trends closer to 50, Alice will probably take off, because of the simple fact that it does tend to pump when Bitcoin does as well. Right? So just keep that in mind. I've noticed that even though NFTs are kind of on their own level, they still honor and respect Bitcoin's bullish and bearish trends. So just pay attention to that as well. So I hope you found benefit. Again, thank you so much. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.